Oh, shout out Kaka, folks. What's happening? Johnny Lee Long at the Hobo Depot. I mean, ask yourself, man, is this what you do every day? You, you got a choice of, picking up your bass in the morning and practice and do things and go through different scales and modes and, get a feel of what it is and how it feels and what she can do, what you think she can't do. And, I think we get into those things. Today, I just want to talk about, y'all, from my heart, when we have enough, when we have enough. We as bass players, and I guess it's the same thing for guitar players and drummers and everything else, man, that we got an opportunity to have 50 million instruments. I'm just saying 50 million. I could be shy off. And we have a choice of getting any bass that we want, and we have a choice of having any bass that we want. I mean, there's a lot of basses come through the Hobo Depot that a lot of times I'd be like, man, I would love to have one of these and go searching for it. Do I need it? Absolutely not. Our main purpose is to, play bass notes. We get carried away. And like we have things like, we have things like from the most least, expensive bass to the most incredible, most expensive bass. From, I say my first bass was a Sears and Roebuck. Now I have the opportunity to own, $100,000 bass. What can I do with $100,000 bass other than can't take it from home? Look, I can't take it nowhere, and I gotta put it in a vault when I do put it back in the case. We have got to the point where I think sometimes we forget that we're purposed to do one thing, and that's to play a bass note. Because of where we are and the finances that some people have, they can play that one note, with $100,000 bass or $10,000 bass or $20,000 bass or even a $3,000 bass, or $2,000 bass. I don't care what you play it with or what you have in your hand. I don't care how much money you got in your hand. That one note can be played on a $5 bass or a $5 million bass. It don't matter. It's going to still be that one note. I think we get carried away with, the attitude of I can afford. This is a 60. This is a 65 P bass, 65, 66 P bass, and the shameful part is, and I'm gonna say shameful because it's my bass. I can say what I want. The shameful part is I could have kept it plain and simple. But when I got it, I wanted it to do more than what it was supposed to do. It's supposed to play a bass note. I wanted that note to be texturized. It's like I wanted it texturized. So first thing I did is change the pickup in it, put another set of pickups in the back, with the most expensive pickups you could buy in the world, probably Olympics, and change the bridge and change the preamp, put a preamp in it, and put a battery in the back, and did that note change? Guys, really? The note didn't change. It's still whatever note I play with, E or C or A flat or B. It's still that same note. It didn't change. Nothing changed about the note. The only thing changed was, the way it sound. Was it high-endish? Was it middle-ish? Was it, very deep and round and bloody? I don't care what it was. It's still that one note. All you need is that note. How you present it is what you put in your bass. It's how you present it. I went back to my old stuff. Not saying that the new stuff is not good, but for the new players, they're gonna run to the new stuff. But there are some players, young players, that actually playing old vintage instruments. You know, they may soup them up a little bit, but they still vintage. I basically, I want to go back home. That's all I want to do. I want to go back home. You can own a million things, but what you need to play is what's comfortable for you. You can play a different bass every day, and you can woo the crowd of bass players, not the crowd of people, because a lot of people out there in the audience have no idea what you're playing. They don't know what you're doing. All they know is they can't do it. That's all they know. So that gets them excited. It's like, oh my God, I can't do that. But he can, and he does it really fast. And a lot of notes. I just want to go back home, man. Go back to the basics. Right now, every time I turn YouTube on or Facebook on, man, I there's a lot of guys doing a lot of things, man. Since this I said epidemic. Since this pandemic, oh, that's Hootie right there. Since this pandemic hit, you got guys sitting at home inventing stuff that they feel like is the newest thing in the world. Is really not. There's nothing new. You just spice it up a little bit from the old days. Me, I got a chance to sit down and think to myself, I'm not playing right now, and outwards, and so why don't I actually did. I was like, why don't I sit down and talk to my bass? So okay, man, you gotta you this and you that, you this, and there's a lot of people out there that look like you and can do a greater things than you can do. But basically, I felt that the bass told me, yeah, but I'm old and I only do one thing. What's that? Play a note. Wow. I had a friend of mine that's a session player. That's a high-end session player. I don't have to call his or her name. And they told me something that it didn't even register the first time they told me. I was like, yeah, okay, I get it. They told me, I don't make no money past the 7th fret or anywhere up in the 12th. And he said, I don't make no money like that. Or she said, I don't make no money like that. My money's up here. My money's up here. My money's here. Anything above the 7th fret. He said, that's where my money comes out. He said, anything beyond that, got no money, man. You ain't making no money. You just wooing people. And wooing people doesn't get you extra jobs. It just gets you looked at for a second, and then somebody else come along and does something that you just did faster or a lot more notes. He said playing a lot of notes don't get me in a lot of gigs. He said, but playing basic and to the point keeps my mansion paid and all my bills paid, and allow me to have nice things. Simplicity. That's my whole thing. Simplicity. Simplicity, man, you can't beat it. I mean, I'm not saying to you guys who out there doing all the fancy, 8,000 note stuff. I'm not saying stop doing it. Is that what you want to do? That's what you want to do. But you got to take a step back and go like, is it getting me any gigs? Think about it. Is it getting you any gigs? All that fancy handwork, is that getting you any gigs? Or is it getting you looked at? Or you want to be a YouTube sensation, by doing 85,000 licks? Because when it push come to shove, even on a movie thing, you ain't going to be able to do all them licks, man. You're not going to be able to do all those notes. You can do basic stuff, and basic stuff is what sells. Flashy stuff sells too. I kept thinking about myself. See, I'm talking to myself now. I kept thinking, okay, if I'm gonna do if I want to get called more, do I play more? No, man. No, I don't play more. You just play less. Get the job done, go home, get paid, and go home. I think we're spoiled. Bass players are spoiled nowadays. They're really spoiled. I'm one of them. I got spoiled. And I want to. That's why I say I want to come back home. Um, I got spoiled. And in working on other people's stuff and seeing things come through the shop that's mind blowing. You got Luthers out there that will blow your mind of the things they can do. But if you look at a bass, whether it's custom made or boutique made, you go back to one of these. It's always gonna sound like one of these. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna either sound like this or Fender Jazz. It ain't gonna, you ain't gonna never get away from that. You can enhance it. Like I said, you can enhance it and do better things. Like more pickups, bigger pickups, lower pickups, smaller body, smaller neck, faster neck, different look, different headstock. You can do all that stuff like that. But basically, you're gonna come back home. You ain't gonna ever get away from this sound. I don't care what you do, folks. And don't let nobody fool you. You will never get away from a Fender P bass and a Fender Jazz bass sound. You'll never get away from it. There's no way you can get away from it. You can get a little bit more, like I said, progressive with it, but you're not gonna get away from it. So me, I'm just ramping today. I'm sorry, folks. It's one of those touchy days, man. It's like my spirit tells me that I need to go back to the basics. The basics, man. For some people, that's painful because they spent a lot of money to own a lot of basses, to own a lot of boutique basses, to own a lot of high-end basses. But yet, and still, you go into a studio, a high-end studio, a real high-end studio, and the producer says, you got a P bass? You got a jazz bass? No, not that active stuff. I need passive. Whoa! Okay, well then, you don't know what I got in my hand. I got such and such in my hand. This bass costs, I don't care what it costs. I need a P or jazz. You got one of those? You can't do my session today. Hopefully the studio will have one of those sitting around and you can get her done. I hate a lot of people to say, I wouldn't even play a Fender if it depend, my gig depend on it. I'm like, man, you're so sad, bro. That's sad. I'm not saying you sad because you won't play a Fender. I'm saying it's sad because you're gonna let that gig get away that may feed your family, pay your bills, because of your morals. That's a little twisted. Once again, folks, I just said I want to come back home and play back home. I want to do basic stuff, So this ain't much I can do to change it back. I can just take the preamp out and then it'll be back close to normal. I can put different pickups in it and take it back to normal, or I can just get a regular P bass, old P bass, which I own already, and now I'll just play that the way it is, or old jazz bass with nothing in it. The notes are slow, they're precise, and they're true. They're not active. Not saying you should put all your active basses down. I'm not saying that, man. That's not even what I'm trying to get to. I'm just trying to say, for me, today, I just want to go back and start playing old stuff and retrain my ear. Get back into the one note matters. One note matters instead of 13 notes matters and not the root. But that's just me doing me. Everybody's not where I am right today. I guess as you get older, you start thinking these things. Shadakaka! As you get older, you start thinking these things. That, what you thought really mattered didn't really matter. What you felt was the epitome wasn't really the epitome. That basic was basic, and basic mean basic. So, since I'm in the Hobo Depot today, and there's nothing on the shelf but Hootie, I'll just sit here and play. And I guess reminisce. Yeah, that's what I do. Sit and play. And reminisce. Shout out, folks. Peace out.